We have to become the person we are meant to be first, to live the life we are destined to live. We all encounter challenges, obstacles, and even dark times on that journey, but we are not alone. This podcast will give all seekers hope and understanding that others have walked that path before us. My guests will share how they overcame the challenges and what helped them turn the corner. Listening to their inspiring stories, get motivated and take action to transform into that amazing person that you really are. Your voice needs to be heard and your message must be shared. My name is Sabine Quenberg and I am your host. I'm glad that you're here to listen to my podcast where you can discover how to become the more incredible version of yourself. Are you ready? Let's get on this journey together. My guest today is Iwona Leatham. After graduating school in Poland, she visited Ireland, fell in love, and never went back home. She is sharing her story of overcoming a 7-year streak of depression that resulted from a traumatic experience that almost took her life. Today, she is helping others with mental illness to get their lives back. She is a certified breath worker and life coach, applying the techniques and experiences that helped her overcoming despondency and hopelessness. Welcome, Iwona. So glad to have you on the show. How are you today and where are you chiming in from?
Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure. So I'm based in Northern Ireland and there's now 4:00 in the afternoon and we do have very dull, a little bit miserable day. So it's been raining all day, but you still have to keep smiling and keep positive inside.
I remember when I lived in Germany, because that's my home country where I grew up. It rains a lot in Hamburg, in the northern part, because we are right between the Baltic Sea and the Atlantic. So there's a lot of rain, same like in England, Ireland, I suppose. And sometimes it can be dreary. But the thing is, when you are used to it, you don't really feel it too bad. But I remember when my now husband, back when we started to date, came over and he started living with me. And it was summer and he had to wear jeans and a sweater. He was depressed. And I couldn't understand that. But I do now. But of course, every country has its pluses and minuses. And, obviously Ireland, I heard it's beautiful, the green.
It really is green. It's really beautiful, but it's getting the weather for it to be able to see it. That's another side of it. So I would say it's pretty hard to get used to it of rain over here because it rains like about 9 months out of the 12. So,
Wow.
It is a challenge. But you definitely can see beauty in it. Yeah.
Exactly. What you just said was just perfect. You see beauty in everything. And if it wouldn't have been raining 9 months out of the year, it wouldn't be that green, right?
Mm-hmm. That's it. That's exactly, yeah.
So you were born and raised in Poland, but how did you end up in Ireland?
So it was like 19 years ago already. So I was still very young. We were, we finished studying and all with my sister. And one day, literally, that's the way it was. We were talking away and I said, it would be nice actually to see London. Everybody talks so much about it and why not? We can just go and explore a little bit. And then week after that, we already have we already bought tickets and we did it. So we were planning to stay only for 6 months. And as you see, 6 months turned to slightly longer because then I traveled on my own to Northern Ireland. And I met my husband over here, and that's it.
I totally get it. I fell in love with my husband, who is American, and now I'm living in the United States. So you fell in love, you got married, you got a child, a beautiful 2 year old daughter. Your sister joined you in Ireland and you built a business. But then there was one day that changed everything. Your perfect life, so to speak, fell apart. And you started a long, dark time in your life. However, that was a time that you needed to go through in order to become that person that you are today, helping so many women getting over depressions, getting over hopelessness. So take us back in time to that one day that changed everything.
So I was still pretty young. I was 29. I had my daughter at that time was 2.5 only. We were very happy with my husband, a happy marriage. Everything was working perfect. I was running my own business with my sister. Everything was going to the plan. I was always very positive, very healthy, very grounded person. Like I knew I was very strong as far as I was concerned. Um, and it literally, all of this changed in one day. And it sounds crazy, but from being healthy, I remember on the way back from the shop with my sister, that was in the middle of the winter. I started to have big trouble with my breathing, and I was like, what is going on, And I was coughing a lot. I started to cough a lot, and then literally within the minutes, I was out of it. I didn't know what's going on anymore. My sister on the way driving, she was really scared. She was phoning ambulance and she was phoning my husband saying that she doesn't know what is happening with me. I was just sort of like half conscious sitting on a chair and already being really scared because I couldn't breathe. Which never happened to me before. So it was like out of the blue. So when we arrived home, the ambulance was already waiting for me. And that's the very sort of controversial thing, because they actually made things worse for me because they didn't ask enough questions, and they started to put through my vein medications that it turned around to be that I was allergic to. So it made my heart really bad. So I started to take palpitations and all really strong. So they actually have to rush me to the hospital. And I didn't know then, but that was the beginning of very painful and frustrating process, because they've been doing all different sort of tests. And I was actually, it was the process of sending me back home and bringing me back ambulance, into the hospital again. It was like 7 times during only few days. And they constantly were saying like, we don't know. That's what they were saying to my husband, because I already can't remember everything what was going on. But they were saying like, we don't know what is wrong with your wife. So take her home, give her plenty of water and paracetamol, and all. Let's carry on. My husband was like, what is going on here? Like, how is this possible? So, and this was going on for almost 2 months, right? So during 2 weeks, I've lost 25 kilos. So I couldn't literally I disappeared. Half of me was gone. I couldn't eat anything. I couldn't swallow anything. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't walk. Sorry for saying it. I couldn't even walk to toilet, myself. So Uh, so I don't remember much of it of those 2 months, because I've heard like loads of it of my husband describing everything for me, what was happening. Um, and then he was like searching for different doctors and for different type of help, and he came across this Polish doctor that she was based in Belfast during that time, and she was cardiologist. So they brought me over there. They literally like have to lift me up and walk me in, like that. And she was like, "Oh my gosh, like what is this?" They told her everything, and she put me down on a bed, and she literally just done ECG. She didn't do any other like more advanced checks or anything, just ECG. And she said to my husband, "Look," says, "I can't take responsibility for this, but if you can't get any help, the only advice I can give you, and if you can still manage that, take your wife on to the first plane and fly her over to Poland and take her to the first hospital, any hospital, right?" But she says, like, I can't guarantee that she's going to survive that flight. She says her heart I can hear it straight away. It's in really bad condition. There was loads of things going on. So that was okay. So he actually took that risk. I can't remember the flight or anything. They took me to Poland. And when we got there, they did loads of things, but they didn't know what was the cause of it. What was that first thing that it started all? So at that stage, my body started to shut down. So everything was shutting down. My lungs were shutting down, my heart, my womb, absolutely everything. So they were treating that just to get me back to sort of like functional, state. So we stayed in Poland for 6 months. We got me back to almost normal eating and walking and all that. We got all the paperwork with us when we flew back over here. And I went to my GP because there was other checks needed to be done after that. So I told her the whole story. I put the bunch of papers, from Poland, sort of on her desk. And she was, I'm never going to forget, like she was sitting on a laptop, on a computer. And she was like, "Oh, but hold on a second. Like, we do know what was wrong with you." And I was like, "What?" Like after 6 months, I says, "What do you mean?" She says, "Yeah, at that time when you were in a hospital, you've been diagnosed with pneumonia." And I was shocked, I was shocked. I was like, hold on, so it was just pneumonia and it wasn't treated, and I've almost lost my life over it. Yeah. So something completely went wrong. So it was just pneumonia, but it turned to all those, things that almost killed me because it wasn't treated.
Wow. Now that you recovered from your physical illness, you actually fell into a deep depression and had to fight your mental illness. Help us understand what happened. I would think it should be the opposite. You should be happy that you are all well again and recovered.
You would think it's supposed to be opposite, and like, so I've got an understanding of it now, but at the start of it I completely didn't know what was going on with me because I never did suffer with any mental issues. It's like I said before, I've been really strong-minded, person. Things like this, I didn't even know really what is depression. It didn't interest me, didn't involve my life. It never was there. So when I took first panic attack, I was like, "Oh my gosh, like what is this? Like what is going on with me?" I couldn't keep my head straight. I couldn't keep the thoughts together. My body was doing different sorts of things. I was shaking. I couldn't breathe. My arms, my hands, my feet, everything was going numb. I was getting dizzy. It was, and this fear, this like fear that you felt like you have to run away from it, but there's nowhere to escape. It's like lion standing in front of you, and you know you have to run. But the thing is, you know, this there is no lion, and you don't know why you're scared, like what's going on. I didn't know that time that that was only a start. It was the start of 8 years nightmare. So it was panic attack after panic attack. It was, sometimes I had like 30 a day. What I know now is, yes, I know I've recovered from the physical illness, but these were based on how scared I got that I never received help. It was a massive fear of knowing that if something happens again, nobody's going to help me, because nobody did help me. And I think that was the major trigger. So I didn't feel safe anymore.
Just the thought of, if this happens again, nobody will help me. So, with other words, your mind lingered in the past and is just kept going back to your past experience. And that tells us how powerful thoughts are. Can you remember a pivotal moment, or was there a pivotal moment, an aha moment, or something that you remember that made the switch and you said, this is it, and everything started to shift?
There was loads of aha moments. There was like, they were starting from the little things, and then the next moment was slightly bigger, and next one was slightly bigger, because I was putting these pieces, together, and they were becoming more powerful. But what I need to mention here is, because I was really lucky to have my husband, and what I'm saying now, he was my coach. He was my psychologist. He was absolutely everything, So he was like this whisper into my ear all the time. There's nothing wrong with you. You're fine. You are strong. You're gonna be that. You can do this. And we talked, of course, like loads of times, like over and over again. So he was my coach. So I had this additional support together with my strength. Another thing was why I even decided to fight, because this thing is, depression and the panic attacks, they are so powerful that they literally take over your body. So sometimes even when you want to do something, you are like paralyzed. So you need to be able to find things that you are willing to fight for your life, because it's basically fighting for your life. Um, so for me, it was like lots of things. Was my daughter, she was very small then. Like she was such a precious to me. So I couldn't imagine that I could be this type of mother. I knew I have to be like this, this person that she's going to be able to rely on always. When we're talking about aha moments, because I was exploring, because I was looking for different solutions, because I started to try to do meditations, they were very, very basic, because I knew nothing about them before. So I was exploring and seeing what is working, what is not. At the start, it wasn't working at all, because it was too many things going on at once. But then breathing exercise. I'm now trained as a breathwork trainer, because I've noticed at some point that this helps also, the way we breathe and the way how we can relax our body and all. I remember the big aha during that time when I was trying to get to sleep, because everything was going quiet and was really hard to concentrate on anything else but myself. Yeah. So I was trying to fall asleep, and it was dark, and I was laying on that bed, and that fear was, I knew then when it's coming. It was like this sensation in your body, and I knew, right, it's coming again, for goodness sake, like this is never going to be over. But and that was that day, that was that night when I said to myself, like, right, because I've been talking to my husband loads about accepting what it is, and not fighting with it, and just let it be, let it go through my body, and just do whatever you want to do with my body. Take me if you want to, whatever you want to do, just do it. So I was lying in a bed, and instead of going all shrinking, and getting all tensed up and being like going with that fear, I've decided that night, like, I'm totally going to open my arms. I'm totally going to relax my body as much as I can, against this thing that is trying to do with my body. And I relaxed myself, and I said to myself, right, I really accept this now. I really do. I said that before loads of times, but I felt like this is it. Do whatever you want. And I started to breathe. Like, it was really difficult, to try to breathe calm when you're not calm. Yeah, it's naturally coming, like you're gasping for the air. But I was like, no, I'm only letting in as much as I need. So I've relaxed my body. I start to breathe slowly, and it was literally like click of the fingers. It literally went away just within like, I don't know, 1 second, and I was like, wow, this never happened before. Like, what is going on here?
But you
you
know
know?
what? This this shows you how powerful our mind is, because at the end it is your mind. You made a decision. And what you said, acceptance, that's the first thing. What I also call release. I have a program called the Freedom Lifestyle Challenge. And it's really for people who just wanted to have a more freedom lifestyle, maybe at home business and whatnot. But what I start out with is exactly that. I have a release and receive process that oftentimes, no matter what situation, either if you are in the situation that you have been in, having some issues with your health, your mental stability, or even as an entrepreneur or wanting to become an entrepreneur, or you are one and there's something not working right, you are stuck, why can I not get the income like others, or whatever it may be, the reason is that there is something that is blocking you, and you may or may not know it. It may be on the surface and maybe in your subconscious mind, but that one thing you need to discover, and you need to release it. Once you release it, you're open to receive. And what you did is exactly that. You said, okay, acceptance. Then the other thing that I liked what you then started doing is to breathe. And then the last thing that you said, which really struck me and it is so powerful, was I was fighting for my life. And I was fighting for something greater than myself. And that was your daughter. And I so see it when we take our focus away from us to another person. In this case, it was your daughter and your husband who was so supportive. Then things can start to shift. And if you put this all together, that is a recipe for recovering, for healing, for creating a new joyful life. And I'm so glad that you were able to do that for yourself and recover. And now, with your experience, you can help others. And that's what you do now, correct?
Absolutely, absolutely, Sabine. Like, I'm never gonna forget when people were saying to me, oh, Iwona, this is the reason, that this thing happened to you. There's a reason behind it. And when I was still, not in the right place, I was like, what is the reason that, that I suffer from that? Like. What I'm going to be able to do ever with this. I don't even know if I'm ever going to be able to be healthy, So it was the anger there also on a way, I wanted just to have my life back. I didn't want to be like this. I didn't want to be this Ivona. I wanted to be the old Ivona. But but yes, now I know. Now I know, and it's so amazing that when you actually working with people, and they come to you at the start, and they are literally in the pieces. And I always say to them, like, to make it clear that I am not psychologist and I'm not a doctor and I'm not the person who's going to do miracles for you. I says it's all in you. it's you who's going to have to do this hard work, because it is, I always say, it's like you really have to be dedicated. You need to be determined. Like this is the basis of even starting it. You need to be able wanting to fight for your life. Maybe fight, it's, some people don't like that word, but let's be honest. It's not a Milky Way when you dealing with issues like this, right? So it is a type of fight. But then you see those people, and then after a while, you actually watching them discovering themselves, discovering how powerful they are, and what they are capable of. It's nothing that I tell them that they can do. They see this on the way, in a process that, what it's happening. Like they see the changes in themselves. They discovered things from the past, maybe things they forgot, and they put these pieces together. And then at the end of it, they coming out and they are like this new polished, person that it was sitting covered in dust, and now it's, it's shining and it's ready to, to take other steps. And it's so amazing.
We have our journey and whatever we are going through. And as you mentioned too, if you are in that state and somebody tells you there's a reason behind it, it's a greater outcome, look for the greater outcome. It's hard to see it in that moment, but I truly believe we are all are on a journey, and what the challenges that we are facing, and each one of us, no matter who you are, how old, how young, how rich, how poor, what color your skin is, we all go through challenges in life, because that's how we grow. And on top of that, I believe our soul always knows what's best for us, what we need to experience on our human level, so that we can make that change and can be a difference maker along that line. And that's what my program is all about: becoming the person that you are meant to be, so you can live the life you are destined to live. And that looks different for everybody. We are destined to live an abundant life for ourselves, for our family. We are destined to share our gifts and talents with others to make this world a better place. And I truly believe it's not a coincidence that we have met. We've never spoken before this interview, but just listening to your story, just having this conversation with you, Iwona, I want to share that you are such a light in this world, and the world needs you, and you are there now. You made this decision, and you will heal and help so many more people. And you are allowed to get those goosebumps, because that tells me that you're passionate about, that's your purpose, and that's why we are here. So thank you so much for being here today, sharing your story. And I will make sure that I put your contact information in the show notes, that people can contact you, follow you to learn more about it. So thank you so much for being here.
Sabine, thank you so much for having me, and you've made that conclusion so beautifully, and I really appreciate everything you say, and thank you. It was a lovely, beautiful hour that I spent with you today.
That was my interview, and if you enjoyed it, give us a 5-star review, leave a comment, and share it with your friends. Thanks for listening. Until I see you again, always remember, serve from the heart. Follow your passion and live the life you imagine.